Hello, everybody, and welcome to the stream. It's nearly 3 nights in a row that I'm just running. Thought I'd turn the camera on and record a bit of painting. And for you guys, it's also a little bonus workshop because I normally do these once a month. But just feeling quite positive in terms of getting, trying some different scenes and starting to paint. So I thought I would run this one as well. So this particular scene here, you can see it's a basic one. So it's like a really basic beach scene. And I think beach scenes are probably one of the best, if not the best subject for a beginner, because you've got, very simple elements here. You've got the sky, you've got the ground, of course, water and some land out the back. And this one's actually a little bit more complicated. I'm not sure where this is, but yeah, you've got like a little church or something on top of that headland. So I'm gonna get cracking with this. But if you're watching along, I do see there's about maybe 10 people watching at the moment. Leave a message down below in the chats, and you'll see a little comment box. Leave a little comment and just let me know where you're watching from. And as always, when I run these workshops, if you've got questions when I'm drawing, when I'm painting, just let me know and I will answer them live. So let's get cracking with this. And I'm going to have to just see if you can actually see the pencil marks, but you should be okay. Now, we want to leave a bit of space at the bottom for the water. So kind of looking at the scene, you can actually see that the water starts about a quarter of the way from the bottom of the page. So here's the bottom of the page, about a quarter of the way. So if you kind of measure halfway and maybe around here. Okay, so it's not exact, but something like this. All right, it actually goes up a little bit here where the land is. And we've got some of the water coming in. So it's roughly about here. So I'm going to just pencil in a quick indication of where the water is. Okay. And also some of this land, which is pretty much, I think one of the most important components because there's a lot of darkness back there and we're going to utilize some of that. So I'm going to just, pencil in a bit of this stuff here. And because we've got that horizon line in, so there's not a whole lot to figure out from here onwards, okay? And we can see this larger bit here to the right. I'm going to get this in here. I really like this particular photograph because there's, you can see on the headland, there's these little kind of downward variations in the rock as well as some vertical variations as well. Okay, and you've got this really beautiful sort of indication of light as well on some of the areas of the rock. So here, I'm just going to kind of outline parts of it. You've got maybe a bit here, okay, sort of where the light just catches on, and you might have a bit also here. All right, so these bits I'm going to leave out pretty much. I think I'll just leave them out white, and the rest of it doesn't really need much detail at all. We can get a lot of this in with the watercolors. There's actually a lot of these lines running across the rocks, these kind of horizontal lines running across like that. And what was I doing here? Okay, this is the part where we've got a really strong indication of light here. Okay, that sort of front of the rock face, and then there. Okay, so all this stuff is, in darkness, and then you've got this kind of rock here that's in the light, and there's also this really sharp not reflection, but shadow here too. So roughly about here. All right. good. Look, all these buildings, there's like a building here. I reckon I'm just going to get rid of that. I don't, yeah, I don't like the look of that. So I will, yeah, just eliminate it and pretend it's not there. Okay, what have we got now? All this stuff here, it's kind of just grass, you know, really dark, not dark, but like green on the top. It hangs off. And you can see it just runs all the way across like this, kind of going downwards back here. Okay, and I'm going to carry this off to the right like that. There's a little kind of pathway, which I quite like. It's running from here, then kind of runs down like that. So, like, it's almost not visible, but something like that. Might leave that in for afterwards. Let's put in some details on this side of the kind of cliff there as well. And look, I'm getting rid of that building. I don't want it there because I think it's, yeah, it looks a little awkward. So I think it'll just look better without it in. There are some bits of kind of darker shrubs and things there, but of course we've got this, what you call it, church or something. So I reckon what I'll do is just get the roof in first, like this. Okay, like that. It's got to be pretty. Oops. Actually, I think that should be all right. Just want to make sure I've got this in quite accurately. And the roof is like a trapezoid shape. Comes down at the back a little there, like that. And the base, you know, just sits like that. Now here you've got, it's difficult to sort of see in this scene, but it's like a tower, I suppose, runs up there, this. Okay. So as, you know, as best as I can, I'm going to put this tower in. But really, you know, at the end of the day, we don't need to detail this all that much. Okay, so there we have it. We've got the side of the building here. Oops, let me just get that in a little more sharper, like that. And there's people and sort of walking around up there, but I'm not going to bother too much with that. Okay, good. So we've got pretty much most of the elements drawn in. Now I'm going to just draw in a person. There's a person just walking along the beach here. Okay, simplify this person down, just like one leg in front of the other, like that. Okay. Okay, one leg in front of the other. You know, we do have a few other people actually as well. And you can see up here, there's like a smaller sort of person that's further up there. You know, maybe they're carrying something. There's a few other people off in the distance. And yeah, at the end of the day, I'm not 100% like fussed about putting in all these people, but a few smaller ones that does really help to make the scene, it gives the scene a bit more depth, you know, even an indication of, you know, a couple of people just sitting by the beach like that. I don't know if you want to put an umbrella in or something, but that could be an option too, like an umbrella like this. You know, this is where we start getting into this territory where we're changing things up a bit. Okay. You don't have to do this, but it's just something I like to indicate. You know, there's also options as well in terms of getting in, like I don't know, like a boat or something out in the back. Okay, maybe like a yacht. You know, some other, like another boat out here, for instance. It's too big. So not necessary, but it's definitely an option. Good. So that's the drawing. Pretty happy with how the drawing looks. I'm just checking. I think that's quite visible. Now, what we're going to do is start using a larger mop brush. Okay, so I've got this, well, it's not a large mop brush, it's kind of like a medium-sized mop brush like this. And this mop brush we're going to be using to get in a lot of the large shapes. So, for instance, we're going to get in the sky. We're going to get in the sand, the water, okay? And when I'm talking about the, you know, for example, this bit of rock here, although it's really dark, you know, we don't want to put in any of the dark stuff just yet. We want to put in all of the lighter colors. So really just thinking about mixing up a lot of warmer colors, lighter colors, okay? And I reckon what I'll do is start, yeah, I'm going to start with probably with the sky first. No, actually, I've changed my mind. Let's go with the yellows first. So I've got some yellow ochre, bit of quinacridone gold as well. Really light. I'm talking about, you know, 1% paint or something like that, and the rest of it is just water. And this allows me to just really get in one of the lightest values that we can, that we can paint in here, essentially. Okay, so a bit of that there for that, the top of that church or whatever out the back. You know, here I've noticed maybe a little more, a tiny bit more warmth in there, a bit more saturation would be good, like that. Okay, so I'm just putting in really the warmer values of the rock. Okay, and I will drop in also some drop in some other browns and things like that in there as well. Maybe just a touch of this. Yep. Okay, because a lot of it I'm just going to go over the top with some blue afterwards. All right. But what we can do first is, yeah, just work on all this backing color, I suppose. And you're pretty safe just going over almost the entire lot with some yellow. And nowadays I really dull down my yellows if possible, because I think it makes the scene look more realistic, rather than, before I used to use a lot of pretty gaudy looking colors. I don't do that anymore. I've just changed my palette to restrict the amount of colors that I use. Okay, now following this pattern downwards, okay, this sand that I'm painting, I'm going to pick up some more yellow ochre and a bit of titanium white. Titanium white is just like an opaque white. Right, and we're going to go in and just drag this color downwards like this. Okay, we're going to just get the sand in. We need to have that sand in. And I reckon one thing I'm going to change in this scene is I'm not going to make the water really sort of cut in too sharp. So I'm actually going to try to make everything blend together in a soft manner. Okay, so let's work on this bit here. Good. All right, so this is all, like I said, it's all pretty light You know, you can also drop in some other bits and pieces too, like a little bit of extra darkness in the foreground here, just to make it look more convincing in terms of the depth. Sometimes what I do is just pick up a bit of darker paint as well. Like I've just got some brown paint and I'll just like flick some color through like this, or tap onto another brush like that to just get in some indication of some darker bits of seaweed and stuff, you know, that you normally might get near the edges of the water like this. Okay, I don't want to overdo it, just something like that. Some of this stuff is a bit too much as well, but we will work with it. Okay, good. Now in the water, I'm going to use some blue, some ultramarine blue. Okay, so I'm just mixing up a pretty strong mix of it, ultramarine blue. And what I'll do is I'll also mix in a little bit of orange. And why am I doing that? It's just so that I can dull down the blue a little bit. When you mix complementary colors together, yeah, you can get a nice kind of subdued value. Okay, now maybe the stuff out the back is a little lighter. Let me just modify that a little bit there. Okay, I'm cutting around this potential boat that I popped in there as well. Okay, some of this stuff is gonna like mix. Don't worry, just let it do its thing. Okay, more ultramarine. And you do see kind of around the water, just down the edge here, there's some sharper white parts in there for the waves and stuff. So you can leave a bit, you know, a little bit of that in if you'd like to indicate that. Okay, but anyhow, I will probably get in some gouache to uh, help it blend in as well. There's just something about this area that I want it to soften down just a touch. I'm spraying a bit of water into that area to encourage some of this to run together like that. Do its own thing. Okay, work over on this side. Let's just put in some more of that blue. Okay, good. There we are. Okay. Now, last thing I want to do is just pick up some darker blue. So I'm going to mix some neutral tint with ultramarine and just drop in a few strokes of color running through here while the paint's still wet. And this is going to create some variations in the water that are going to appear like little waves. Okay, so we want to go all the way out the back, and when you put the waves in at the back, you want them to be a lot smaller than the ones in at the front. Okay, fantastic. Yeah, there we have it. Now you do get, if it does mix too much and starts causing a mess, you can just dab onto the paper like that, lift off some of that color. Like over here, I think that's just gone a bit overboard, so I can just lift off a bit there. If I want to lighten some parts as well, that's something you can do. Soften some areas. Okay, fantastic. I think the water looks decent. All right, so I'm going to probably leave that and go into the sky now. And just make sure I've got like a nicer sort of skyline here. Okay, and I'm going to use a mop brush for this. Okay, but actually before I do, I think I will, since we've kind of half painted this, I'm going to put in some details, just a layer of green as well over the top of all this. So I've got a bit of quinacridone gold, and I'm going to mix that in with the green that I have already, just producing a kind of vibrant green that I think I'll need for this area. And it's like, as you can see, pretty sharp color. Let's go around here. But a lot of this yellow has not completely dried yet, so as you can see, some of it is kind of mixing in, and I don't mind that. You know, it's going to look a bit more organic if we do it this way. Okay, this is that pathway that I'd kind of lost now, but doesn't matter. There, over here. I think the trick is really just to paint the whole thing first with the first value. So this green. Then I'll go over the top of it with some darker green. And I've got so many greens here in the palette, I've just got a whole bunch to choose from. This is almost like an emerald green color. And check this out, we can just drop the color in and it will do its thing. All right, but we still want to make sure we're keeping some of that previous wash in there, because if we go overboard, we'll lose that amazing light that you get. So you just have to be pretty sparing with this. Okay, where you see like a shrub or a larger tree, you can dab that in, but still at the same time, exercise a bit of restraint. When you think it starts getting too much, just hold back a bit. Okay, this thing here, this rock face, getting a bit of green go through, which I don't like. So check this out. Just dab onto the paper, and as simple as that, you can lift off a bit of that green paint. Okay, it's not a deal breaker anyhow. And I'm going to pick up some darker neutral tint, I guess. Yeah, like a cooler color. And you can see sort of the edges there where it touches the rock face. There is a bit of extra darkness. So I'm going to just drop that in here so that I don't have to do this later. And it's going to look more natural as well, given that the paper is still wet. Okay, so just around the edges, that's where I'm essentially doing this. Okay. Okay. Looking all right. Okay, so time to pop in the sky wash, and I will just use a larger mop brush. I might just give this a little dry first to make sure that it doesn't go up into the sky. Okay, and really I'm going to just pick up some cerulean blue, like that. Almost as light as I can get it. Now the top I do like to add in a little bit more darkness, a little bit more blue, but as I move down the page, I'm just going to be adding more water, okay, because I want to preserve the light in the sky. A nice flat wash is sometimes one of the most difficult things to achieve, but really what you do is just add in more water as you move down. Okay, cutting around that as well. Okay, there we go, we're getting there. Some more water. We're lucky because the sky doesn't have any other really gradations or anything in it, so it's pretty much smooth all the way through, so I can safely use that same value and just move it all the way down here. Fortunately, this bit of rock here should be lighter. Yeah, that kind of hole in the rock there. I might have to bring that back with some gouache afterwards. Okay, but essentially what we have here is the first wash, and we can start now working on the second wash, but I'll give it a quick dry first. Okay, great. Let's start working now on the details of the rock. And for this, I'm just going to pick up some ultramarine blue. And let's go ahead and drop this straight in. I'm just checking to see the value. I reckon I'll dull it down a little bit as well. Just put in some orange in there. I'll test it out. Okay, it has to be, the value here has to be darker than the water as well. So, yeah, there we go. So, there we have it, just going around, and I might have to redo some of those darker bits actually on the rock itself. There. This little sharper shadow on the rock, and I'm using a little synthetic brush for this. And I think what would be good is if I kind of alternate, why not put in a bit of brown in here as well, just to change up that color a bit through this section. Okay. I'll have to maybe make up some bits of light there as well. Good. Now let's put in some extra. Now, all this is pretty much the same value. I'm overcomplicating it, but apart from the tops of these you know, the little bits of light that we get up the top, they're all pretty much the same, that same color, but there are some parts that have like darker spots on there, which I'll have to go through in a final wash right at the end. But yeah, I should be able to get in a quick general wash over all of this. And cutting around some of those parts as well. Just see bits of the top down. Around the back here. Okay. And into the water as well. Actually becomes darker at the base. I'll have to indicate that afterwards. Okay. Maybe some more neutral tint here. Just at the base, just darken it off a touch. Using a pretty, you know, large brush as well for all this. Accidentally got a bit of color in the background, doesn't matter. Okay, bring that across. Bit of darker value there. As you can see, just the edges of the cliffs have some additional darkness that I have to bring out like that. You know, there's this part here which I'm kind of really need to get in as well, but I don't think that area is dried just enough for me to do this. But see these really dark spots, we can get them in, no issues at all. Okay. It's just neutral tint that I'm using here. Okay, and we can see like on the ground there's basically a really sharp kind of bluish shadow. Oops. Oh, so Tanyas's sound is so poor. Let me have a look what is going on. Where is the audio? How's it now? Maybe I just didn't have the mic close enough. Is anyone else having issues with the audio? Let me know down. Yeah, let me know down below in the chat. To me, it looks like everything's hooked up okay, but yeah, it's hard to know unless I get a bit of feedback from you guys. Okay. I'm going to continue on anyhow, but I'll wait to see what some of you say. Now, over here, I will just start putting in the bottom of this cliff. So there's like, you know, darker values here. Okay. It's really like a really dark blue value that just permeates through the bottom of this entire area and even goes a little bit into the water, almost like that, and then goes back up again here. Where is this going to start? Maybe about here, underneath this rock, like this kind of. There we go. Has to be a nice sharp edge, nice crisp edge, and be very intentional as well with the brush strokes. because you only really got one chance to do this while the paint is still wet. Wet and wet painting is, I mean, it's a lifesaver because it saves you so much time. Okay, we got here on the right hand side just a little bit more that color there, but apart from that we've got a nice nice sort of shadow out the back. Okay, we've still got the figures, the shadows of the figures to put in there to make to you know, get everything to make sense, but you should have something like this so far. And I'll swap to a smaller brush, and I'm going to work on this building up the top, so maybe a bit of brown and blue mixed together to just get a grayish value, and more water perhaps. Let's, oops, less water. I just want to get this to be the right value, just dark enough so that I can, you know, we can tell that it's a shadow. That's good. And there's some little tiny little windows and stuff here. We can just put in some small details, bit of, maybe a bit of darkness underneath the roof like that, just to join it up to the shadow. Okay, that's looking okay. That's looking all right. We can probably tidy that up a bit more later, but don't mind how it looks at the moment. Okay, now I'm going to put in some sort of sharper brush strokes just for some other shrubs and things, perhaps running through in here as well. Okay, I want to overdo it just a bit here and there to add in like texture and extra darkness, you know, because there are some really dark spots in there that we haven't really indicated yet. Okay. This stuff is really, it's starting to dry off. Okay. Slowly starting to dry off. So it's a good time now to start thinking about how we're going to get this part of the cliff face to stick out. And yeah, I'm thinking, yeah, we still need to give it maybe a little more time, just a tiny bit more time to dry off first. I think I'll work on the figures, the people here at the front, and then we'll finish off the background right at the last minute. So let's start working on some of these figures. I'd say maybe the legs would be good first. I will put in a lot of darkness for the legs like this, and remember the shadow is going to the left hand side, so it's actually quite a good quite a good shadow pattern. It's going to be easier, but it sort of goes almost like slanted a bit to the down, like downwards, so yep, like this. I'm just trying to do this as, you know, try not to overthink it as well. The more I kind of think about all this, overdo it, you can just tend to the shadows can just start looking a bit too forced. So like that, there we go. There's maybe a person here as well. Get that shadow in there, carrying a bag, who knows, like that. There's a person sitting here underneath the umbrella, so they're probably going to be in darkness. Making it hard to indicate this person, but it could be a couple of people there. Okay, who knows? A couple of people here as well. Just the legs, a couple indications of those legs like that. That's all you need. Of course, the umbrella has a shadow as well, so this will need to be indicated. All right, like this. Yeah. A couple of people there. Okay. Crate on the ground or something. Yeah, here's the other umbrella, just the shadow underneath it. I'm going to put some color into the umbrella as well, maybe a splash of something, maybe some red, little touch of red. Okay, touch of red, pretty light value. In fact, that's too dark. If I can just lift off a touch, that's better. This one here, maybe some yellow. Let's just drop in a bit of yellow or something there. There we are. There we go. Bit of yellow. And of course, you know, the people. You can't forget that you know, some of these people are wearing clothing or not. You know, so here's, maybe I'll just put on, this person could just be maybe they're shirtless, you know, is it that? And then I'll join on some of the legs to the body like this. Okay, good. You can get the arms, one arm there and arm here. It's not 100% necessary that you like detail these figures too much, but I do think like some colors like do help. Like a bit of blue here, for instance. These two, I don't know what they're doing, but something like that is going to be good. Bit of red, maybe for the heads. There we are. Arms on the side. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, going now. Going now back to the scene. Okay, we have got some different textures and stuff to apply through here. So I reckon what I might do is just give this a little dry. Yeah, I might give this a little dry before finishing it off. For some reason, I just feel that, you know, there should be some more details and stuff here indicating like maybe the rocks, the sand and stuff like that. But I reckon for now I'll just leave it to keep it simple. Okay. I reckon one thing I can probably do is just get in part of the boats. So here I'll just get in the bottom part of the boat there. This could be another boat here. That. Simplified down. Okay. Yeah, I'll give it a quick dry around here first. All right, that should do it. Let's get cracking. A lot of dark paint I'm going to be using. This is just neutral tint. Now I need to separate this cliff out. So I know there's a darker section behind there. Like that. Yeah. If I can just scumble the brush a little bit around as well, this is just going to make it easier. Okay, so you can see that's sort of like the side of that cliff. There, what else do we have? Just a lot of this, there's these little, tiny little gradations running through as well. I reckon what might help is if I just wet the paper again slightly. But let me get the side of this in first. The side of this rock does, it's just marginally lighter, the shadow here. That. Yep. I think just what's missing is some of the texture and yeah, some of the texture of the rock. Some darker values. I'm gonna just see if I can maybe use the side of the brush to indicate some bits here. Let's see what we can do. Maybe like this. Yep, it's working okay. Yep. And because you've got some textured paper, you know, here I'm using basically cold press paper. It's the ability to do this is it's just a lot easier than having to yeah, sort of put every little detail in with hot press paper. So this is actually kind of working. I don't think I'll need to re-wet the paper. Okay, there's just these horizontal, it's kind of like the pattern on the rock, I suppose, so horizontal patterns on the rock. Proving to be a little bit more tricky than I thought this scene, but you know what? It's good fun. Definitely good practice, that's for sure. So make sure the gradations all run in the same general direction. Some more up the back here. Oops. Good. This does need to be darkened down a little more, perhaps. Okay. This is looking all right. Just put a bit of detail onto this figure as well. Maybe some hair. Yep, that should help. Okay, I reckon some little sharper lines, like kind of waves and stuff, also could help balance and join everything together. It might just subtle little lines like running through here, not too much. Smaller waves out the back. Okay. It's looking all right to me. And maybe some splatter effects, little splatter effects with some brown paint. I'll just flick some of this paint onto the page. You might think I'm a bit mad here, but I think it does help to imply some little rocks and things, seaweed, you know, washed up on the shore. Okay. I don't want to overdo it though, so we just have to be mindful of that. Sometimes you do get some of these larger rocks that might cast a shadow if they're big enough. Yeah. Sometimes you can even get in another person. Could probably get another person in there, but I reckon I will just, yeah, I reckon I will just leave it. Okay. Anything else? Probably some gouache, just a little bit of gouache to finish this one off. A bit of white gouache with a smaller brush of mine. And yeah, I think we can get in a bit of some of the waves, some waves. Okay. But yep, how's everyone going so far? Leave a chat. Everyone's very quiet, like super quiet today. It must be you must be at work or who knows. A lot more quiet than usual, but actually this is one of like my favorite ones over the last few days that I've been painting. I think this one's turned out quite all right. And yeah, some little finishing touches I reckon will bring this all together. Firstly, what I want to quickly do as well is maybe get in some yellow for this path. This is just yellow ochre. Pick up another brush that's more, that doesn't have any other paint mixed into it. There we go. Just a little bit of that there, because it just looked a bit too light before. But there's things you can do, like, you know, the sides of the path. It does actually have a little indication of, you know, a bit of darkness around the sides of the path, so you can like just re-emphasize like this. Yeah, really is just little kind of details that aren't required, but sometimes can add a little interest. Yeah, can add a little interest to the scene. Bit of darkness here for the, like a window or something, entrance. Oh, too much, something like that. Okay. Just details, very, very subtle details. Good. What was I doing? Okay, a bit of gouache, a bit of white gouache. So, check the stream is still going okay. And Andrew's art says at work. Oops. Oh, that was another thing. I'm looking at the wrong stream. Okay. So, I've got myself some white gouache, which is like an opaque watercolor paint. And this is just going to allow me to maybe put in some small highlights, finishing touches, perhaps some waves here as well. So I'll go for this one first, this figure here. A little bit of white on the head there. And going down into the shoulder like that. A little bit of white. Maybe a bit on the umbrellas. Oops, kind of got a bit too much there. What else do we have? Maybe some here in the to indicate some like waves that I had forgot or wasn't able to get in before. That's the mast. Oh, it's not so. It doesn't look so great actually, but maybe I'll get that in actually another color. This area here, like, because I'd gone over it too much before. Maybe I could bring back a little bit of light. This is difficult. Trying to match the value of the sky here for this kind of nook. It's tricky, but it sort of works. Sort of works. Okay. Bit here, here. I think that kind of looks all right already. I don't need to put in too much of this stuff. Okay, so that is pretty much it. Yeah, I'm quite happy with this one tonight. And yeah, because it was a relatively, it's much more simpler kind of scene, I was able to focus more on the details of the background. Yeah, is there anything I would change? Yeah, hard to say. Probably maybe the figures. I would have just detailed them a touch more. But other than that, I do like the background. It does have a really stark contrast here with the shadows, and yeah, but I like it. So I'm going to end this stream. If you're watching along after, if you've got questions, let me know, and I will answer them just in the comments. Otherwise, I'll catch you all later. If you like the video as well, do me a big favor and click the like button, because it helps me to get it out to more people. But other than that, I will see you next time.